Have you ever had that one friend who, no matter how close you thought you were, always seemed to have hidden motives? Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us have experienced, but might be too afraid to address. Trusting the friend who might actually be your enemy. The signs are there, but often we ignore them because of history or comfort. But once you know what to look for, your circle will become a safer and more uplifting place. This conversation is for anyone who has felt the sting of betrayal disguised as friendship, and for those of you who are still unsure if that one friend really has your best interests at heart. I'm speaking to the ladies today. And ladies, I know that your time is valuable. So, let's get started, okay? Before we dive deeper into today's episode, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Life Points with Ronda is all about helping you navigate life's ups and downs with practical advice and real talk on relationships, personal growth, and emotional well-being. By subscribing, you'll stay connected to the conversations that matter most. And if you're enjoying the content so far, be sure to share it with your friend who could use a little extra encouragement today. Welcome to Life Points with Ronda, your destination for personal growth, real talk, and insight into the relationships that shape our lives. I'm your host, Ronda, and today we're tackling a very important and sometimes difficult topic: how to identify the signs when a so-called friend might actually be your enemy. It's a heavy subject, I know, but it's one that needs to be addressed, especially in today's world where appearances can be deceiving and social media has given rise to superficial connections. Sometimes we ignore red flags because of how long we've known someone, or because we genuinely want to believe the best in people. But I'm here to tell you that you owe it to yourself to prioritize your emotional health, and part of that means learning to identify who is really in your corner and who is just pretending to be. Let's face it, some people are in our lives for the wrong reasons, and holding on to them could be holding you back from growth, peace, and true happiness. Before we dive into the specifics of identifying a friend who might secretly be working against you, let's take a step back and talk about why it's so critical to recognize these signs in the first place. Friendships, as we all know, are supposed to be a source of support, joy, and companionship. At their best, friends are the people who lift us up, encourage us to be the best versions of ourselves, and stand by us through thick and thin. A good friend is like family. They know your deepest secrets, understand your quirks, and are there for you in the good times and the bad. But what happens when someone who holds such an important position in your life starts working against you? What if, instead of being a source of positivity and encouragement, they are subtly undermining your progress, planting seeds of doubt, or even actively working against your success? These are hard questions to face, but they're necessary. We've all heard the saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But what if your enemy is already as close as they can get? What if that person you confide in, that person you celebrate with, and that person you turn to for advice is secretly competing with you, envying your success, or even hoping for your failure? It's a frightening thought, but not an uncommon one. The truth is, sometimes the people closest to us harbor resentment or jealousy that we can't see at first. Maybe they've been in our lives for years. Maybe you share a long history, or maybe you met at a vulnerable time in your life. And this friend felt like the emotional lifeline you needed. Whatever the case, these relationships can be hard to let go of, but they can also be toxic and damaging to your personal growth. In today's fast-paced, achievement-driven world, it's more important than ever to surround yourself with people who genuinely have your best interests at heart. We're living in an age where comparison is rampant, especially in the age of social media, where everyone's life looks perfect from the outside. It's easy for envy, jealousy, and resentment to build up, even among those we consider close friends. So why is it so important to know the signs of a toxic friend? Simply put, these relationships can hinder your growth. They can sow seeds of doubt in your mind, manipulate your emotions, and ultimately lead you down a path of negativity and self-sabotage. Your mental and emotional health is at stake, and it's crucial to protect it. Imagine working hard towards a goal, pouring your heart and soul into a project, only to realize that someone you trust is secretly hoping for your failure. That realization can be devastating, but it's necessary to confront it. Your success and happiness should never be compromised by someone else's insecurities or hidden agenda. And here's the thing, it's not always easy to recognize when a friend has crossed the line into enemy territory. Sometimes the signs are subtle. They might still be there for you when things are tough, or they might give you advice that seems helpful at first. But when you take a closer look, you realize it was actually sabotaging your efforts. Other times, the signs are more blatant, but we choose to ignore them because we don't want to believe that someone we care about could betray us in this way. But trust me, ignoring the signs won't make them go away. It's time to stop making excuses for toxic behavior and start protecting your peace. Now that we understand why it's so important to recognize toxic friendships, let's get into the specifics. How do you know when a friend is actually an enemy in disguise? What are the signs that someone who claims to be your friend is actually harboring negative feelings towards you? It can be hard to spot at first because toxic friends are often very good at hiding their true feelings. They might smile in your face, give you compliments, and even offer to help you out in times of need. But if you pay attention, there are always signs that something isn't quite right. Let's go through some of the most common signs that a friend might actually be your enemy. A true friend will build you up and make you feel good about yourself. But a toxic friend, they'll give you compliments that sound nice on the surface, but leave you feeling uneasy or even insulted. These are what we call backhanded compliments, and they're one of the most obvious signs of a frenemy. For example, they might say things like, "Wow, you look so much better now that you've lost weight." Or, "You're pretty smart for someone who didn't finish college." On the surface, it sounds like they're complimenting you. But if you listen closely, you'll notice that there's an insult buried in there. They're not just complimenting you. They're also pointing out a perceived flaw or insecurity. These types of comments can be especially damaging because they can chip away at your self-esteem over time. You might start to doubt yourself or feel like you're not good enough, even though you're doing your best. That's exactly what a toxic friend wants, to make you feel small and insecure so that they can feel superior. Backhanded compliments can also be a way for frenemies to subtly express their jealousy or resentment. Instead of being genuinely happy for your accomplishments, they'll try to downplay them or make you feel like you're not as great as you think you are. Sign 2. Excessive jealousy. Jealousy is a natural human emotion, but when it becomes excessive, it can turn into something toxic. A friend who is constantly jealous of your success, your relationships, or your achievements is not someone who genuinely supports you. A frenemy will often try to downplay your accomplishments or act disinterested when you share good news. Instead of celebrating with you, they might change the subject, offer a lukewarm congratulations, or even try to one-up you with their own achievements. For example, if you tell them you got a promotion at work, they might say something like, "Oh, that's great, but did you hear that I just got offered a new position at my company?" They're not interested in celebrating your success. They're too busy trying to make sure they stay ahead of you. Excessive jealousy can also manifest in more subtle ways. A frenemy might give you bad advice, hoping that you'll fail or make a mistake. They might try to sabotage your efforts by planting seeds of doubt in your mind or discouraging you from pursuing your goals. They don't want to see you succeed because it threatens their own sense of self-worth. Sign 3. Gossiping behind your back. A true friend will protect your reputation and keep your secrets. But a toxic friend, they'll spread rumors, share your personal business, and talk badly about you behind your back. If you find out that someone you consider a friend has been gossiping about you, that's a major red flag. It's one thing to vent about frustrations in a friendship, but it's another thing entirely to spread malicious gossip or share private information that was told in confidence. Frenemies often use gossip as a way to undermine your relationships with other people. They might try to turn others against you by spreading lies or half-truths. This kind of behavior can be incredibly damaging, especially if you're in a close-knit group where everyone knows each other. Before you know it, you might find yourself isolated or excluded from social gatherings because of the rumors they've been spreading. Sign 4. Competing with you constantly. Friendship is not a competition, but for a frenemy, everything is a race to be better, more successful, or more popular than you. They'll constantly compare themselves to you and try to one-up you in every area of life. If you're excited about a new project, they'll make sure to mention that they've already done something similar, but better. If you're going through a tough time, they'll tell you about how they've had it worse. It's exhausting to be around someone who always has to prove that they're superior. Competition in friendships can also manifest in more subtle ways. A frenemy might try to copy your style, your interests, or your achievements. They'll try to emulate what you're doing, but add their own spin to make it seem like they came up with the idea first. This can be frustrating, especially if you're someone who values originality and creativity. Sign 5. Unreliable in times of need. A true friend is there for you when you need them most. Whether you're going through a tough time or just need a shoulder to cry on, a good friend will show up for you. But a frenemy? They'll disappear when things get tough. They might make excuses for why they can't be there or, promise to help and then flake out at the last minute. This kind of behavior can leave you feeling abandoned and unsupported, especially if you've always been there for them in their times of need. Frenemies are often only interested in the friendship when it benefits them. If they can't get something out of the relationship, they're not interested in putting in the effort. They'll be there for the fun times, but when the going gets tough, they're nowhere to be found. Sign 6. Sabotaging you under the guise of helping. One of the most insidious behaviors of a frenemy is sabotaging you while pretending to be helpful. They might offer advice that seems well-meaning, but actually leads you down the wrong path. For example, they might encourage you to take a job that's not right for you, or they might suggest that you pursue a relationship that they know is toxic. This type of sabotage can be hard to spot because it's often disguised as help. A frenemy might say things like, "I'm just looking out for you," or "I thought this would be better for you in the long run." But if you look closely, you'll see that their advice is really designed to hold you back or push you in the wrong direction. Frenemies might also try to sabotage your reputation by spreading false information or making you look bad in front of others. They'll act like they're helping you, but in reality, they're trying to undermine your success. Why do some people act this way? Now that we've gone over some of the signs of a frenemy, let's talk about why people act this way. It's easy to get caught up in the frustration and hurt that comes from realizing someone you care about is secretly working against you. But understanding the psychology behind their behavior can help you make sense of the situation. There are a few common reasons why people develop toxic behaviors in friendships, and understanding them can help you move forward with clarity and compassion. Reason 1: insecurity. At the root of most toxic behaviors is insecurity. Frenemies often feel inadequate or inferior, and instead of dealing with those feelings in a healthy way, they project them onto others. They might see your success as a threat to their own self-worth, so they try to bring you down to make themselves feel better. Insecurity can manifest in many different ways, from jealousy to competition to sabotage. It's important to remember that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of their own unresolved issues. Reason 2: envy. Envy is another common reason why frenemies act the way they do. They might want what you have, whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal qualities, and their envy turns into resentment. Instead of being happy for your success, they feel bitter and frustrated that they can't achieve the same level of success. This can lead to passive-aggressive behavior, backhanded compliments, and even sabotage as they try to cope with their feelings of envy. Reason 3: fear of losing you. Sometimes frenemies act out because they're afraid of losing you. They might feel threatened by your success or personal growth, and they worry that you'll outgrow the friendship. Instead of supporting your growth, they try to hold you back so that you'll stay stagnated or stuck. This fear of abandonment can manifest in controlling or manipulative behaviors. A frenemy might try to guilt you into spending time with them, even if it's at the expense of your other relationships or responsibilities. They might make comments like, "You've changed since you got that promotion," or "I barely see you anymore. Don't forget about your real friends." What they're really saying is, "I'm afraid you're going to leave me behind." But instead of supporting your growth and evolution, they choose to drag you down to keep you within their comfort zone. It's important to recognize that real friendships are built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared desire to see each other thrive. If someone can't celebrate your wins with you, that's a sign that they're more concerned with their own insecurities than your well-being. Reason 4, lack of genuine care. Unfortunately, not everyone enters friendships with the intention of building a genuine, caring relationship. Some people form connections for purely self-serving reasons. These people might use you for status, information, or resources, and when their relationship no longer benefits them, they're quick to let it fall apart. Frenemies often lack the emotional depth needed for a true friendship. They might be more focused on what they can get from you than what they can offer. Whether it's social connections, access to opportunities, or even just the satisfaction of being associated with someone who has qualities they admire, their friendship is transactional rather than emotional. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because it means acknowledging that the relationship wasn't built on the right foundation from the start. But once you recognize this, you can begin to protect yourself from further manipulation. Now that you know the signs and understand why someone might behave this way, the big question becomes, what should you do if you suspect that someone in your life is a frenemy? How do you navigate this tricky situation without creating unnecessary drama or hurting your own emotional well-being? Let's explore some steps you can take to protect yourself while maintaining your integrity and peace of mind. The first step in dealing with a frenemy is setting clear, firm boundaries. Boundaries are essential in any relationship, but they're especially important when you're dealing with someone who has shown signs of toxic behavior. Start by limiting what you share with them. If you've noticed that they tend to use your personal information against you, be more selective about what you tell them moving forward. For example, if they've gossiped about your relationship or career, keep those topics off limits. You don't owe anyone full access to your life, especially someone who hasn't earned your trust. Boundaries can also include how much time you spend with them. If you feel drained or anxious after hanging out with this person, it's okay to take a step back. Distance can give you the clarity you need to assess whether this relationship is truly healthy for you. Step 2. Have an honest conversation. Sometimes, frenemies are not fully aware of how their actions affect others. If you feel comfortable, it can be helpful to have an honest conversation about how their behavior has made you feel. This can be a tough conversation to have but it can also lead to resolution, or at least give you closure. When confronting a frenemy, it's important to approach the situation calmly and without accusations. Focus on how their actions have affected you, rather than attacking them personally. For example, you could say something like, "I've noticed that whenever I share good news with you, you don't seem happy for me. And that's been really hurtful." This gives them the opportunity to explain their behavior, apologize, or even admit that they have been acting out of jealousy or insecurity. On the other hand, if they respond defensively or try to gaslight you into thinking you're overreacting, that's a clear sign that they're not interested in repairing the friendship. Step 3, distance yourself. If the conversation doesn't lead to a resolution, or if the behavior continues, it might be time to distance yourself from the friendship altogether. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to cut the person off completely, but it does mean prioritizing your well-being over the relationship. Start by gradually reducing the amount of time you spend with them. You don't have to make a dramatic exit or announce that you're no longer friends. Sometimes, simply creating space is enough to protect your peace. Over time, you might find that the friendship naturally fades away. Or you might come to the conclusion that cutting ties completely is the best option for your emotional health. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to protect your peace. If someone is toxic to your growth or well-being, distancing yourself is an act of self-care. Step 4, surround yourself with genuine people. One of the best ways to protect yourself from frenemies is to surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you. Seek out friendships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and positivity. These are the people who will celebrate your successes, support you through tough times, and encourage you to keep growing. If you've spent a lot of time in toxic friendships, it can be hard to recognize what a healthy friendship looks like. But here's what to look for. A good friend listens without judgment. They offer constructive advice without undermining your confidence. They're happy for you when you succeed, and they don't feel the need to compete with you. They respect your boundaries and don't guilt trip you into doing things you're uncomfortable with. These are the people who will lift you up, not drag you down. And once you surround yourself with genuine friendships, you'll find that you no longer have room for toxic relationships in your life. At the end of the day, friendship should be a source of joy, support, and positivity. But sometimes, the people we trust the most can turn out to be the ones who hurt us the deepest. Recognizing the signs of a toxic friendship is the first step in protecting yourself and preserving your peace. Whether it's backhanded compliments, jealousy, gossip, or sabotage, frenemies have a way of slowly eroding your self-esteem and happiness. But you don't have to let them. By setting boundaries, having honest conversations, and surrounding yourself with genuine people, you can free yourself from toxic relationships and create space for the friendships that truly uplift and inspire you. Remember, you deserve to be surrounded by people who celebrate your successes, respect your boundaries, and support your growth. If someone in your life isn't doing that, it might be time to reevaluate the friendship and take the necessary steps to protect your emotional well-being. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Life Points with Ronda. I hope this conversation has given you some insight into recognizing the signs of a toxic friend and how to protect yourself from frenemies. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. Remember, your peace is priceless, and you have every right to protect it. As always, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode. Before we go, don't forget to subscribe to Life Points with Ronda on all major podcast platforms so you never miss an episode. And if you found today's discussion helpful, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and follow me on social media for more insights into relationships, personal growth, and emotional well-being. You can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, all under Life Points with Ronda. I look forward to continuing these conversations with you. Until next time, protect your peace and surround yourself with love. Thanks for joining me on Life Points with Ronda. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more relationship tips and life advice. Looking for more in-depth conversations and exclusive content? Visit my website at lifepointswithronda.com. Discover insightful podcasts, blog posts, and resources that will help you build stronger relationships and improve your daily life. Join our community on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for daily inspiration and updates. And remember, every relationship starts with you. Let's make life better together.